All right, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Spurging Reviews, back once again for the brand new comic book day reviews for the comics that came out 8/25/21, August 25th. The last comic book review, practically the late comic book review, talking about the newest books that came out this week. I don't get to pick my books up till Fridays, with my schedule being the way it is and then having to get through them. Plus I'm reading Dune at the same time. So this is the only chance I get on Sundays to finish reading my books and record a review, brief description, and talk about the books and how I feel about them or whether you should pick them up or not. So first off, if you like what we're doing on the channel, don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not a subscriber, hitting the bell for all notifications, bells, whistles, all that jazz. And then also, like I've been talking about, I want to talk a little bit about two channels, one channel and a website that really helped me out. One, the website, the channel that I'm talking about, sorry, is Mr. Miracle Comics. Dave at Mr. Miracle Comics, who does comic book speculation videos for undervalued comics, the comics that miss a lot of people. You know, a lot of books that are, you know, you can think of the easy books to think of that are number ones, like, you know, like Moon Knight #1 here, right? But those are hard to find. Those are hard to get your hands on. You know, those are go for a lot of money. Well, like he talks more about like books like this, like Avengers 293 up here, which you can still get for pretty cheap. You know, things that deal with important stuff that might be worth something, might not. But also, if you're a good comic book collector, and you just want a good collection, something you can be proud of. Like I'm trying to build up a really good collection of comics. I don't plan on selling them, and that helps me out incredibly. So Mr. Miracle Comics on YouTube, the link will be in the description below. Check out his videos. You'll save a lot of money. You'll find a lot of books that will help you get a either bigger collection or find some cool spec books. It's been invaluable to me over the last couple of months, and I just support his channel. Second is the website, the store that I go to, Graham Cracker Comics. I go to a store in Illinois. Most of their stores are based here in Illinois. There's Wisconsin stores. There's also one in California. Their online store, grahamcrackers.com, the link will be in the description below, is the best, and it's literally, I don't get paid for this. They don't do their own advertising. But I just so happen to be lucky to be in an area where one of their stores is, and I love their store. There's going to be a picture of the logo in the storefront in a second here. Let's just do that right now. That's just the outside of the store and the logo for the store. But if you go to grahamcrackers.com, like I said, the link will be in the description below. Their online store is it's the best online comic book store I've ever been to. It is so easy to navigate. You've got your login that keeps everything in track for you once you start your account. You've got your cart. That's very, very, very easy to use. You got your wish list for books that you might not be able to get from the store, but you can put in there for later, and it'll send you reminders of books. You got the subscription service in there. You can add books to your subscription service, and their book club will give you I think it's 10% discount if you have I think you have to have at least 10 books on your pull list. Don't quote me on the 10% part though. I can't remember. I don't really check. I haven't checked in a while. But whether you get a discount or not, the online store is above reproach, man. As long as you don't put the word "the" in front of things, you're gonna find the book that you're looking for. There's not images for everything because there's so many books, but most of them have images. You can find them really easily. And like I said, if you can't find it, you can always put it in your wish list. So graham my favorite comic book place to go to besides, like, because you can go to eBay and everything, but check this place first for the books because you can find a pretty good deal. And just like that, when you go to a comic book shop, man, you're looking for this stuff, look in the long boxes because you could be surprised at what you found. I today just found Thor Annual number 6. Which is a fight between Zeus and Thor. And since Love and Thunder is going to have Zeus, I thought I should get one. Well, I did. I found one on eBay. I paid $20 for it. I went to my local comic book shop today, went through their long boxes for Thor annuals, and found the same book, about as good a quality, for $6. Okay, so go to your local comic book shops. Remember, grandcrackers.com. Link in the description below. And Mr. Miracle Comics for comic speculation for undervalued comics. So let's get into it. Today, though, we're also going to start something where I'm going to approach a little bit here. And that is my own, not like my own speculation or anything, but just something that's kind of probably going to be trending because of all the Marvel shows that come out, right? So one of the What If episodes is going to be Marvel Zombies. Now, the original run of Marvel Zombies is bloody hard to get your fucking hands on, right? Getting especially number 1. The number 1 is really hard. You can find the other issues. Number 1 is really, really hard. All right, people didn't give these up. People keep them in their collection. So it's like Marvel Zombies is going to be one of the episodes. I believe it's episode 8. So if you can't get your hands on Marvel Zombies number 1, right, there is another 2 issues that are the actual first appearances of Marvel Zombies. Now, there is another Marvel Zombies out there, and it started way back in like the 70s, I believe, and it was a term for Marvel fandom, like that there were Marvel Zombies, right? So I got into that with somebody that wanted to make sure I was clear on that. But the actual heroes becoming zombies is a newer thing of the last 20 years. And their actual first appearance isn't in Marvel Zombies number 1 by Robert Kirkman, but in Ultimate Fantastic Four 21 and 22. You can get your hands on 21. I think this would be considered like the cameo. There's like a debate on which one is actually, and this happens a lot, which one's the actual first. But let me tell you this: I paid less for this, and a bit more for number 22. But they're both still relatively, if you really want the first appearance of Marvel Zombies, the Marvel characters in zombie form, this is it. Now, this is the Fantastic Four, and they're not in the What If series, but if you're still wanting to find the first actual appearances, and then these are the books to get. If you want the technical MCU stuff, yeah, try to get your hands on Marvel Zombies number 1. Good luck with that. You're going to pay a lot of money. All right, and so we also have a couple of honorable mentions for this week that I have. I have Ice Cream Man number 25. This is the first book of Ice Cream Man I've ever read. I picked it up because they were talking about it on Comics Elite, and it's the first appearance of the actual Ice Cream Man, and I read this book, right? And this is not for everybody, but if you have a dark sense of humor about life and mortality and stuff like that, Ice Cream Man is pretty brilliant, but it is not for everyone. If you can't have a sense of humor about some pretty dark stuff, do not get this book. But I believe this looks like the same guy who does the covers for some of the covers for Department of Truth. This is an Image comic. And now I'm going to go back and either get the trades and try to get some of the single issues of this book, because it's weird, but I like weird. Another book to talk about just briefly that I picked up is Philadelphia, number 16. The reason I'm only putting it now in honorable mentions because I haven't been reading Philadelphia. Read the first 3 issues. I got the first 3 issues, and then I skipped. I had a brain fart, and I missed like issues 4, 5, and 6. So I haven't read anything until I'm not reading any of Philadelphia until I get issues 4, 5, and 6 filled into my collection. I'm just that anal about it, but it is still like from 2021, right? Nominated for Best New Series. Vampires in Philadelphia. It's really cool actually. This is not just another vampire story. It's pretty freaking dope. And I mean it's Jason Shaw Alexander doing the art. So if you like his art, you're down with that. Now also another book that I haven't finished reading because I was waiting to get it all done and then read it all in one shot. It's Oblivion Song number 33. This book is ending. This might even be the end. I'm not even sure. Issue 34. Okay, so there is another issue. I can't remember. I thought it's the end of this is coming. But Oblivion Song, what I've read so far, has always been fantastic. Robert Kirkman has done a really good job in this book. So now to get into the issues proper of what I've been talking about this week. In alphabetical order, we're talking about them, not in order of what I like or don't like. And today we're starting with Alien number 6 by Philip Kennedy Johnson, Salvador LaRocca, and the effects in here. Now, this is the end of the first arc of this book. And look, when they first heard that Marvel was going to be making Alien books and Predator books because they picked up Fox, Disney picked up Fox, and in turn Marvel owns all this and blah, 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 blah. I was very hesitant about this book, but damn, if this isn't actually this is the best Alien story since Aliens. I'm trying to think if there's anything better than this story, because Alien 3 is that unfortunate Fincher. Like, I love Fincher, and there are some things to like about it. But, and then you got Alien Resurrection, which I actually really like. I really do. I really like it. It really shouldn't be taken too seriously, I think. It's crazy. It's weird. It's got Ron Perlman and Winona Ryder as a robot. I do like it. I don't care. It's a guilty pleasure movie for me. But like you got the Ridley Scott Prometheus, and then you had like Alien Covenant, and I just couldn't stand those movies. I just couldn't stand them. They look great, but this is really, really good. The people are coming home, trying to get themselves back home. The guy's trying to save his son, and everybody's got their stake in it. And as usual, and even though look, it's predictable. I'll say that's the one thing against it, is that the overall plot's predictable. Things that happen can have good twists in here, but the overall arcing plot has never changed in Alien, and that is one of the things. Well, like how the companies all want their hands on the aliens, and everybody's triple and double crossing each other for it. And there are twists, but still, I would like to start seeing some new directions in Alien stories, and maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on this. Maybe I just haven't looked at it deep enough to see the changes, but it's still really good. Amazing Fantasy number 2 is out, and I didn't have to like try to stumble across, to fumble around for it. But we have Kyle Andrews, and again, this is, I'm going to find the title card here. Kara Andrews is the writer and artist. VC's Joe Sabino, and the cover artist is also Kara Andrews. So number 2 is, this is a 5-issue miniseries. And I know some people were saying that nothing happened in this book, but here's the thing. It's following the 5-issue kind of arc, right? You get the first issue always is, here's our characters, here's where we're going, introduction to the world, kind of set off with a big bang. They always usually end with something really interesting. And so the first issue ends with Peter finding out that he's dead, and that, Uncle Ben is there in this, like I referred it to the Image book Reborn, where they're in this kind of in-between medieval fantasy land where it's like a purgatory or something. They don't really know, but that's their interpretation of it. I do think a lot of things happen in this. I think Uncle Ben's attitude is weird. Now, it is interesting because he's been there for a really long time. I think that he's been kind of had a lot of time to think about a lot of things, and maybe his thoughts aren't correct. I do think that from the first issue there should have been a lot more like, holy crap, Peter, blah, 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 but you know, sometimes you just got to let some of that shit you hold on to where you think characters are always supposed to do this, that, and the other. Just follow the line that they've always followed. But I still am really enjoying this. And it's setting up what's going to be like... It's the second issue, so we're setting up the conflict, the real conflict in the books. And how you can see how in issue 3... such and such is going to happen, and in issue 4 such and such is going to happen. It doesn't mean that it's the execution that is good. It's the art that's good. It's the writing that's good. I like this book a lot. If you can't get over some of those hang-ups, don't read the book. Nobody's making you read these things. People that review things because they say they have to review them because they exist. Come on. Come on. I sometimes take risks and I'll read a book or I'll watch a movie and I won't know if I'll like it. Or somebody will tell me, you know, just give it a chance. And sometimes I do. And I might have to shit on it if I don't like it, you know, but I'll be fair. Most of these people, they're not fair. They take too much of their personal, bring too much of their personal stuff to it. In our politics and everything. And I do too sometimes, but whatever. I guess that makes me a hypocrite. I don't know. No, not really. A good story is a good story. Amazing Spider-Man number 72. Look, I know Nick Spencer, I don't think it sounded voluntary that he was leaving Amazing Spider-Man. And now he's going to Substack to stick it to everybody. You know, I mean, we got like what people are calling Image 2. But there's almost a reveal of like what's underneath the Kindred mask. Is it really Harry? You got some interesting stuff with Norman Osborn in here. There's stuff still to like. This is much better than what's going on in actual Sinister War. That's all I can say is I'm not impressed with Sinister War right now. But this is okay. It's still building up. Things are happening. It feels like it's setting up for what's going to be the end. So it's like Sinister War is the all splash page action book, and then Amazing Spider-Man is where all the character stuff happens. Avengers Annual number 1. Even though this is probably like, what is this? Probably got to be like 30 annuals deep or something like that. I'll be honest with you. These Infinite stories are not that interesting to me. They haven't been. I do like the Nick Fury stories at the end. Like, this is the opposite of how I feel about the Batman Detective Comics thing, where they have the Batman story and then they got like a side character story in them, and I don't want to hear about those side characters. I don't care about them. I don't really care about Ghostmaker or Punchline or the Road to Task Force Z. But this actually, I like the Nick Fury angle at the back of these books. They continue to engage me, but the main story in this is not really that engaging. The only Infinite issue that I liked was Thor's Annual, because we get a brand new villain, a number 1 for like a first appearance of a new villain, and a really interesting just Thor, the like Bizarro Thor kind of situation. But this is a key issue because you are introduced to this new android like character that's like the embodiment of the Soul Gem. Is all the Infinity Stones are taking on personas, like they're finding people that represent them or whatever. I hate it when I say or whatever. So, as far as key issues go, if you want to pick up a first appearance of a character who might be something down the road, and, you know, he's a pretty interesting looking character, definitely check this out. I don't even know what his name is. What is his name? That's how, like, uninterested I kind of was with the main story in this. But like I said, key issue if you want. Like that probably, you know, the Batman Batman Reptilian, book number 3 by Garth Ennis and Liam Sharp. Like, to me, the coolest thing about this is the writer and the artist. The story is fine. I'm into it. It feels like like we're missing Killer Croc. Everybody keeps talking about Killer Croc. Is this like it'd be too easy if Killer Croc is the Reptilian in this, but the dark writing and the way that they're handling this like Elseworlds Black Label, you know, like story that's not in continuity and everything, is pretty dope. The art, again, I just love like this like the way that the Joker looks here. It reminds me of some of the stuff that came out in the 90s. Um, it's very like painted. Like this is art. Like this is like Rod Reese kind of stuff, but like real dark. You know, like if you wanted to say pick somebody modern who does a lot of painted art. But I love the way Batman looks in this. I love how his cape curls at the ends of his like cowl and everything. But still a really solid book, really dark. I love the Black Label Batman stuff more than I like the regular Batman stuff. Okay, coming up next we have Cable Reloaded #1, The Last Annihilation, and there's the Liefeld variant. Because Liefeld's, look, say what you will, I don't care. Liefeld as a person, whatever, but and yeah, he can't draw feet, but I enjoy, he makes fun books. I don't take the Liefeld stuff too seriously, but he's not writing this. This is Al Ewing's baby. And with Quinn and Protobunker on board as well. And again, I think somebody said nothing happens in this book. What the fuck are you talking about? First off, we get old regular ass Cable. We get a book that's all regular ass, the Cable we know and love from way back in the late 80s, early 90s. All right. It's all his inner monologue through the whole thing. We get to get inside this Cable's head, and maybe it's because I've been starving for this and begging for this, but I got what I wanted out of this book. And we get Cannonballs back and Boom Boom's back. We get Rocket Raccoon and Cable's reaction to Rocket Raccoon and how most people view Rocket Raccoon. Cable has a way different perspective on Rocket than anybody else, and I loved it. I loved them making this giant gun, and which needs a giant bullet to shoot, the Dormammu ego planet. Come on, that is totally a Cable thing. It's over the top and crazy, and I loved every second of this book. This is definitely in the top for me. And I get, this is my bias, right? This is, I'm showing my colors a little bit here, but there's nothing like too deep into this. It's just, if you wanted to see regular Cable back, you're getting it here. So quit your bitching. Department of Truth #12. Okay, I've been up and down with this book, and I've been keeping it in my pull list because it's been optioned. It's Tinian. These might be hard to come by someday. The story is very complex. It's very uniquely told still. I can say that for sure. And there are some twists involved, and especially in this issue with that are talking about black helicopters. This is just after the Bigfoot arc that they did. We find out one of our characters, in a world where people are not what they seem, we find out one of the main characters in this book is not who he seems to be, either within the Department of Truth. And that did kind of grab me. So if you're continuing to like this book, this is still pretty good. If not, it's been on the bubble for me of taking it off my pull list, just because it's a bit of a hard. They're always a bit of a hard sit to read through sometimes with the way that I work and everything, and what my mindset. Sometimes I'm not interested in sitting and like really thinking that hard about every book I read, and Department of Truth really makes you sit and think about a lot of stuff. So I feel like you got to be in the right mindset for Department of Truth. Detective Comics 1042. Tamaki, Bogdanovic, Henriquez, and Belair. So, I mean, Bogdanovic has just been off and on Wolverine. He's been doing off and on in Detective, him and Mora. I've been, like, sharing duties on this book. Both incredible artists. And this story is finally ending where it does have, like some people have said, some amazing visuals in here with Batman having been infected with the Vile virus, and you get to see Batman with like that face, like this like thing coming out of his face that he's been infected with, this is some crazy shit. And it is a wrap up to this story, or is it? See, I like when, you know, there's a good like ending. Just like, look at that like octopus thing hanging off his face. It is a satisfying end to this. I've been really frustrated with the character of Worth. Uh, I'm not into him at all. I understand that he's pissed off because his daughter died. I mean, I really am. Look at that. But it's just he's just a little. He's too much. He's just too much for me. And I'm ready to move on. And hopefully, this next arc in Detective Comics is going to make or break whether or not I keep reading Detective Comics. Because once again, it's $5 an issue because they want to add these second stories in here that I'm not interested in. And it's like, oh yeah, you get another bunch of stuff in here, but I don't see anything in here that's too key and too important. And if you're not invested in DC, like I'm only mildly invested in DC, I don't know why I'm paying that much money. But that's me. You know, you pick, you choose. You like it, you don't. You are willing to pay for something or you're not. And so far I keep saying I'm going to kick it and I don't. So that's on me. Extreme Carnage Riot. This is the Scotty Young variant. Right? I love Scotty Young. I've been only getting really the Scotty Young covers to this story. I have one for Lasher. Or Phage, I think. And that shows how seriously I'm taking this because this is a tie-in book for a book that's not even out yet, where it's all getting taken over by, you know, coming into the fold of Carnage. And each one has their own little thing. We have been introduced to a new symbiote a couple of issues ago called Silence. It used to be Scream. That's all this really, you know, like there is stuff happening here. Okay. I am enjoying this book, but only on the basic level of if you're not into symbiotes and that whole thing, you're not going to care. You know, I don't know if anybody would really care. But I do like where this is headed enough to keep buying it. I like that Flash Thompson is back. I want to see where they're going with this new symbiote. And I want to, and all these things, and how is this going to connect to Venom's Dylan Brock, and how is this going to connect to Eddie Brock? So I've been invested in the Venom story since I got back into reading comics. I'm not going to stop now, but still, if you're not into symbiotes, I don't know why you'd pick up that book other than if you're just collecting to collect and not read. Once and Future, number 19 by Kieran Gillen, Dan Mora, and Tamara Villain. Bond villain. I love it. Fairies are bastards. Dan Mora's art is incredible. Kieran Gillen's writing is still fantastic. The fight against Arthur and Merlin as these undead monster, like it's complicated. Think like Excalibur, the Marvel book, but without all the X-Men type characters, like the Otherworld. Think of Otherworld without the mutants and more Arthurian stuff. And we find out, yeah, that how much fairies are bastards in this. And it's a fast read. But again, if you're invested in this book, you're going to want to keep reading it. I still say if you haven't been reading Once and Future, pick up the trades. It is a fantastic, fantastic book. Kieran Gillen's also writing Eternals over at Marvel, which is also really good. All right, up is Robin, number 5. Again, and somebody else said that there was nothing happening in this book. Yes, there is. There is so much character going on. Why does everything have to be like this big, long... I don't know. I mean, if you're just into action books, this is not like just an action book. It says Rumble of the Robins, and it is, but it's not the rumble like they're all punching each other in the fucking face. It's them trying to reach Damian Wayne, each in their own ways, and how it turns out is unexpected. You know, and everybody plays their role and who they are perfectly. And I like that. I like this book. I love the art in this book and it's Williamson, Melkinov, and Guerrero. I really, really dig the art in this. It's one thing that I almost always can say about DC books over Marvel is that the art is almost always superior to Marvel, and that is not easy for me to say. But I have to admit, when it is, it is. When something is a thing, I will admit it, whether I like it or not. But the whole arc of him fighting in this tournament, there's more going on here than meets the eye, and why he's there and everything. And just, again, it just continues to impress me. And I've been, I have not been into Damian Wade until the last 3 years. And the more I read Damian as a character, the more I like him. I really do. I think he might be my favorite Robin. Something is Killing the Children, another number 19. This is another one of our... And I so love how they're structuring this book. They show us that first story about the town. It just gets overrun with these monsters, and how Erica Slaughter comes to try to help the town as best she can. And when the people she works for get involved, and how complicated it gets. And now we're telling the backstory of Erica's training and how everybody got to where they were. And I don't know what they're going to do, where this arc is going to end, and if they'll continue in the present. But it doesn't matter because the storytelling is still so good. Tinian is really killing it on this book, no pun intended, where we get to find out, like, seriously Erica's training, and more to do with the octopus and the monster that occupies her octopus stuffed animal. And I thought it was really another just a fantastic issue. Just another fantastic issue. Keep reading Something is Killing the Children if you're reading it. If you haven't started reading Something is Killing the Children, pick up the trades. Good luck getting your hands on early issues of it. Spider-Man Life Story, annual number 1. I didn't read Spider-Man Life Story because I'm an idiot. And since I'm going to try to pick up the single issues, I'm not a trades guy. I did have this in my pull list because I saw it. I think I pre-ordered this because it's Chip Zdarsky, and Chip Zdarsky writes Spider-Man really well. It's also drawn by Mark Bagley. We got Andrew Hennessy and Matt Milla. Again, a lot of these negative, what is this? They call this the negative space issues. But what I didn't know about Spider-Man Life Story, or if I did, I forgot, is it's actually telling in chronological order what Spider-Man's life would be like if, like, it started in the 60s and carried over into, like, I think this ends in the early 2000s. This is the perspective of J. Jonah Jameson, starting with the very beginning of how he got involved and how he got ended up going to jail, and how in this book he stayed in jail. Like, this is actually telling, like, the life story. Like a whole, like, what if, Spider-Man from when he started to when he would retire, and just the perspective of how J. Jonah Jameson's obsession with Spider-Man ruined his life. And, and how it would really be if we didn't constantly reboot things and start over at a certain point wherever nobody ages, and we just continue on and continue on and continue on. And, J. Jonah Jameson is now doing, like, digital newspapers and gossip stuff, and had the Spider-Man suit with the camera on it. And Spider-Man and Peter Parker are friends, and he knows Peter's Spider-Man. All this stuff that's going on now. But what if it was just one long story? And this is fantastic. This is also top of the heap. It's a very personal story of the one man's obsession that ruins his life. And how he blames Spider-Man, but he's projecting so much of himself. And then maybe this is stuff we know, but it's the way it's told that really narrows it down. And how he had his whole life to spend in jail for his role of hiring Matt Gargan, the Scorpion, to, like, do things and make things worse. It's just, damn. Some of these books that are coming out that aren't canon, right? That are just doing these multiverse, Elseworlds type stories. Speaking of which, we now come to Superman 78. So we got Batman 89, we got Superman 78. Now look, I'm just going to say it right now. Batman 89 for me is a superior book. This has got Venditti on it, Torres, Belair. Venditti's a great writer. And if you like the original Superman Richard Donner movies, you will like this too, probably. And yes, this is a good book. It's a good book. I don't find it as interesting yet as Batman 89. I thought it was over way too fast, but it did capture the heart of those movies. As the most important part of this, if you're going to do Superman 78, it has to feel like Superman. It has to feel like you're in that world, and this does. Just, it really felt really brief. Batman 89 had a lot more going on. A lot more. This does have hints, though, to things that they could never do in those movies. So there's a bigger world now going on, and you can, if you loved those movies, now you can think about how those movies could have had a bigger world if they hadn't, done Superman 3 and 4. Next up, Superman versus Lobo by NCBD. If I'm pronouncing her name right, Beatty. I have to freaking check on the pronunciation of that. And Dolfo and Prianto, big giant book. I don't know how I'm going to find a bag big enough to put this in there. Look, I've been following Sarah's career, starting on just, I saw one of her tweets pop up in my Twitter feed. Started following her, found out she's a comic book artist. She's been a writer on things. I've been reading Money Shot, her book. I've got both first two trades, and I've been collecting the single issues. I'm into it. I like it. And if you like her style, you'll like this. Again, this is a book where if you take everything too seriously and you hold on too tight to everything, and you also have a problem with... I've gone over this. Politics have been in comic books forever, and they have not typically been conservative driven, which always makes me really weirded out that so many conservatives read liberal books and then complain about how they've got liberal leanings. It's when you say, and I've said this before, if you don't like the politics, it's because the politics aren't reflecting your politics. So there are things in here, and if you don't like it, guess what? Again, you don't have to pay the money to read it. You're reading it and you're reviewing it so that you can shit on it because you want it to fail. It will fail with or without you assholes like just completely reaming on it, right? If you, like, I understand reading the first issue of something and then saying you don't like it, but if you continue to like read like 3, 4, 5, however long like a miniseries is, or forever, like what have you read like Amazing Spider-Man from beginning its came out till now and just griped about everything every time? Get a life. I liked it. I thought it was fun. I'm not the biggest. I used to like Lobo. I was giving this a shot to support the writers and the artist. And I liked it. I got my money's worth. It's not the best thing I've read in the entire world, but it's fun. Symbiote Spider-Man, though, Crossroads #2, is a good book. By Peter David Land, Leiston, and The Armada. #2. Again, people that complain that in these second issues nothing happens. Yes, it does, you fucking idiots. In fact, this is like dope because the stone that they're... Okay, so Black Cat goes to Doctor Strange and she's like, we need help, right? We were going after this nun stone, and now Spider-Man's gone in the black suit. And again, the writing of Peter David shows that he has never lost his touch, and he's also doing Hulk here. So Hulk fans, Peter David's in got the Hulk again, even though he's been doing Maestro, so shut up. So all those people who kept saying, where's Peter David at? Well, first he did X-Men. He was on Maestro. He's been doing Symbiote Spider-Man now for a couple of years now. And he's also did X-Men Legends, like a 2-issue run on that. So I don't know what anybody's talking about. But the stone gets into Peter, who's already infected with the symbiote, already got the symbiote attached to him. And it releases this. Don't tell me nothing happens in this book when this happens to Peter after the stone hits him. Don't tell me that nothing happens when after that happens, he starts whooping the hell out of the Hulk. Don't tell me that nothing happens when all of a sudden this lady shows up out of nowhere. She's an Asgardian ruler of an Asgardian the Nornheim place. Don't tell me nothing happens. Don't tell me when all of a sudden Hulk and Spider-Man get shot out of a portal into this other dimension that nothing happens, and then Hulk ends up getting hit with the stone. You're telling me nothing happens. Nothing happens in this book, right? And then all of a sudden Moon Boy and Devil Dinosaur. Now I know it's Moon Girl, but in this it's Moon Boy. So yeah, nothing happens in Symbiote Spider-Man's Crossroads, you fucking morons. Awesome book. Now this one, I will admit, Thor number 16, this cover. There is no barroom bonding. There is no bar. I will give the person who made a comment that false advertising on the cover. If you can get past that, if you can get past it, can you get past it? Can you? You poor children. Danny Cates, Bandini, D'Amico, Wilson, issue number 16. It's mostly maybe what the real problem is. Jane Foster's in it. Oh no, can't have Jane Foster. Yeah, I have a girl in the book talking to Thor because Thor's fucking up, talking about his dream that he has with Thanos and the Infinity Mjolnir. Like, yeah, this is pretty. The actual story that's going on here, and him freaking out, and her telling him, "Look, man, you know how you're doing things, and like just leaving the hammer around for people to pick up. Why are you doing that?" And they fight the Wrecking Crew, and they own them. And if you like the Wrecking Crew, sorry, but sometimes villains show up, and guess what? Sometimes the villains get their ass beat, because sometimes they don't expect Valkyrie and Thor to be standing there. Sorry that Thor doesn't advertise when he's dressed as Point Break. But he does show up. He gets a word that his mom wants to see him, so he takes the Rainbow Bridge, and turns out he's talking to Odin. And so you do have them talking for a minute, right before things get interrupted slightly. And so they get into a fight together, and then Freya shows up with Angela, who was originally in Spawn. I'm not going to get into that whole thing, but I'm fine with it. I don't care. I don't care where Angela is. I'm glad Angela's somewhere. I like the character. So, again, if you can get past the cover, really good book. And finally, last but not least, Wolverine number 15 by Percy, Kubert, and Martin. Getting to know a little bit more about Solem. There's not much to this issue other than that. Getting to know the background of that character. And I'm interested in the background of this character. So if they take an issue to tell me about it, it's fine. Does this not happen in the book? Not really. But we do get a version of it. They start a fight. So, I mean, again, if you can't get past the cover, again, I don't know what to tell you. They do this all the time. They do this all the time. Like it's some fucking new thing to show you a cool cover where it doesn't happen 100% in the damn books. It's like you're just looking to bitch, and it means that if you're looking to bitch, it means you have your own agenda. And these people tell people that they have agendas when they're the ones. It's like, it's seriously. So anyway, that's the books of the week. I really am happy anybody who chooses to watch this. I don't expect a lot of views on these. I'm just having fun. I get to talk comics again, and I get to show my love for comics and my perspective on comics. And you can think that I'm an idiot, and that's fine. It doesn't really matter to me. You enjoy it, you don't enjoy it. You can hit whatever buttons you want. But if you did like this video, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. If you did manage to get to the end of this and hated everything I said but just wanted to get pissed off for no reason, we will give you the last 40-ish minutes of your life back. So if you liked it, put on shades, look away. If you have light sensitivity, get it the hell out of here, because we're going to give these people who have delicate sensibilities a new memory. And here's a better memory, hopefully, than what you just watched. And it takes a little less time. Bye.
You got Darth Vader, the blackest brother in the galaxy, Nubian god.
What's a Nubian?
Shut the fuck up.